What does it feel like to explore the dark, mysterious depths of a cave? What if, in the heart of the earth, adventure suddenly turns into a desperate fight for survival? A group of cavers were exploring a dark cave. They were having a thrilling adventure, but for one person, Robert E. Scott, things took a terrible turn. He got stuck in a very narrow passageway just 75 feet from the entrance. He was fighting to get out, but time was running out. What went wrong in that dark, wet place? And why, even with rescuers trying to save him, couldn't he make it out? Let's explore this sad and scary story. Nestled just west of Virginville, Pennsylvania, Dreibelbis Cave is a hidden gem for caving enthusiasts. This remarkable cave offers a thrilling journey through its intricate and challenging passages. Stretching approximately 1,500 to 2,000 feet in length and plunging nearly 100 feet deep, Dreibelbis is a haven for adventurous explorers seeking a mix of crawling, climbing, and chimneying. The cave's natural beauty, with its delicate formations and shimmering aragonite crystals, adds a touch of magic to the rugged experience. Reaching Dreibelbis Cave is an adventure in itself. Explorers must first traverse a small soybean field, whose monotony contrasts starkly with the mysteries waiting underground. The entrance to the cave is covered by an old quarry, giving it an air of secrecy and intrigue. With overgrowth covering the area, the entrance feels almost like the doorway to a hidden Mayan tomb. A sturdy pipe gate guards the cave, designed to protect its fragile environment. Opening this gate can be a challenge, as only an arm of perfect length can reach the lock, a quirky feature that has earned one caver, known for their so-called Cinderella arm, an open invitation to future expeditions. Once inside, Dreibelbis instantly reveals its complexity. At the very start, the cave branches off into 3 distinct directions: left, straight, and right, all of which test a caver's agility and determination. The narrow, slick passages require precise movements, as the smooth, polished walls offer little grip. Some areas demand climbers to descend and ascend in tight spaces, often passing packs and gear from one person to another as they navigate the cave's twists and turns. Despite its demanding nature, the rewards of exploring Dreibelbis are plentiful. Hidden within the cave are stunning formations that sparkle in the light, along with sections that challenge even the most seasoned cavers. The cave's unique layout, resembling a metastasized pound sign with its crisscrossing passages, ensures that every turn feels like a new discovery. Dreibelbis Cave is a perfect blend of beauty and difficulty, making it an unforgettable destination for caving enthusiasts. It's a testament to the wonders hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be explored by those willing to embrace adventure. Late on Saturday, October 1st, 1983, 6 enthusiastic cavers gathered near Kutztown in Berks County, Pennsylvania, for what they believed would be an exciting and challenging adventure in Dreibelbis Cave. The cave was a popular spot for both seasoned and amateur explorers. Among the group was Robert E. Scott, a 36-year-old caver from Trapp, Pennsylvania. He was relatively new to cave exploration, but was eager to immerse himself in the thrill of navigating the dark, twisting passages. The group had spent weeks discussing their plans, carefully gathering gear and preparing for the expedition. They carried headlamps, ropes, climbing gear, helmets, and provisions to sustain them during their journey. They were well aware of the challenges Dreibelbis Cave presented, particularly its narrow crevices and slippery mud-coated surfaces. Yet, their excitement outweighed any apprehension. Scott, in particular, was brimming with energy. His companions noted how enthusiastic he was to test his limits and bond with the group over this shared experience. The group chose to enter the cave late in the evening, around midnight, aiming to make the most of the nocturnal environment. According to one of the cavers, the timing also ensured that bats, which often nested inside, would be out for the night, making the exploration safer and more enjoyable. As they entered the cave, their voices echoed faintly against the cold limestone walls. Their headlamps illuminated the way, casting long shadows that danced with every movement. The air was cool and damp, carrying the earthy smell of wet stone and soil. The cavers moved carefully, squeezing through tight passages, climbing over boulders, and wading through shallow pools of water. For hours, the group moved deeper into the labyrinth, wondering at the natural beauty around them. They encountered glittering mineral deposits, intricate rock formations, and the occasional scurrying of cave-dwelling insects. Each discovery added to their excitement, fueling their determination to explore further. At around 2 a.m., the group decided to begin their exit. As they retraced their steps, they approached one of the most challenging sections of the cave. A narrow, vertical crevice approximately 80 feet high and as little as 7 to 12 inches wide in places. Now, while most of the group managed to navigate the passage by squeezing through carefully, Scott encountered difficulty. Standing over 6 feet tall and weighing 166 pounds, Scott found the narrowest section of the crevice particularly challenging. Instead of attempting to walk through upright, he decided to crawl in, hoping to use his arms and legs for leverage. However, as he moved further in, his hand slipped on the mud-slick walls. In an instant, his body dropped slightly and he became wedged, left side down in the tightest part of the passage. Scott was in trouble. He was stuck in the middle of a narrow passage, unable to move forward or backward. The walls were round and slippery, and he had nothing to hold on to. He started to panic as he felt trapped in the darkness. The darkness of the cave, combined with the pressure of the rocks around him, made him feel very scared and trapped. The other cavers quickly gathered around, trying to assess the situation. Well, despite their best efforts to pull or push him free, Scott remained trapped. His body was wedged so tightly that even small movements seemed impossible. Over the next 8 hours, his companions worked tirelessly, using ropes and whatever leverage they could use. But the narrow, tight space made it fail in every attempt. By 9:30 a.m. on Sunday, realizing that they could not free Scott on their own, the group decided to seek outside help. They made their way out of the cave and contacted local authorities. Volunteers from 4 nearby fire departments responded first, bringing equipment and additional manpower to the scene. Despite their inexperience with cave rescues, the volunteers worked diligently, trying various methods to extract Scott. When it became clear that specialized assistance was needed, the National Cave Rescue Commission, or NCRC, was called in. By late Sunday afternoon, 14 trained rescuers had been flown in from Pittsburgh, bringing expertise and advanced equipment. Initially, Scott was in good spirits, communicating with rescuers and following their instructions. Heat packs, high-intensity lights, and even hair dryers were used to keep him warm in the damp, cold cave. Rescuers managed to string a line above him and attach slings around his body in an effort to lift him up vertically. However, every time that progress was made, Scott would thrash uncontrollably, possibly due to the panic and discomfort of his position. Scott, who was known to have epilepsy, was administered medication to prevent seizures, but his agitation persisted. Rescuers gave him coffee, soup, and hot dogs to maintain his strength, but as time went on, his condition got worse. He became increasingly irrational, shouting abuse at the rescuers and moving against their efforts to free him. Rescuers tried several creative methods to extract Scott, including lining the walls of the crevice with plastic sheets and positioning inflatable airbags beneath him. Unfortunately, none of these approaches succeeded. The slimy, rounded surfaces of the rock and the confined space left little room for maneuvering. By early Monday morning, rescuers were closely monitoring Robert E. Scott's health using special equipment that checked his vital signs, like his heartbeat and breathing. At around 7 a.m., as the team was getting ready to try yet another rescue attempt, the monitors showed that his vital signs had stopped. The rescuers acted quickly, giving Scott oxygen and warm fluids through an IV to try and revive him. However, he had already lost consciousness, and despite their best efforts, they could not bring him back. Scott's condition had worsened, and sadly, he passed away while still trapped in the narrow crevice. His death was later determined to be caused by a heart attack, likely brought on by the extreme stress, physical exhaustion, and the challenging environment that he endured during the long hours of being stuck. The news devastated everyone involved, as the rescuers had worked tirelessly to save him. Yet the rescue effort wasn't over. Even after Scott's death, his body remained wedged in the unyielding limestone crevice. The team now faced an excruciating task: to bring him out. The methods that they had avoided earlier, fearing they would hurt him, now became necessary. Using the high line and slings, they carefully pulled his lifeless body upward, inch by painful inch. The physical effort was enormous, but the emotional toll was even greater. At one point, a small rescuer crawled into the tight space beneath Scott's body, maneuvering under the crushing weight of not just the cave, but the sorrow of the moment. It took another 5.5 hours to finally free him. When they emerged from the cave at 12:25 p.m. on Monday, October 3rd, the scene was heart-wrenching. Onlookers who had been waiting outside, many of them friends and family, looked on with tear-filled eyes. Despite the faint hope that Scott might have survived through a state of deep hypothermia, those hopes were quickly dashed when he was pronounced dead at the scene. The rescue team, who had fought so hard and given everything they had, were left devastated. They had faced a monstrous challenge, one that pushed their courage, skill, and determination to the limits. Though they couldn't save Scott, their relentless efforts were a testament to the human spirit and the lengths people will go to for one another in the face of tragedy. The tragic story of Robert E. Scott's entrapment and death in Dreibelbis Cave serves as a heartbreaking reminder of how unpredictable and dangerous cave exploration can be. Scott's death was officially ruled as congestive heart failure due to irreversible shock, brought on by the immense physical stress, pressure on his chest, fear, and the cold conditions that he endured during the 29 hours he was trapped. The coroner clarified that his epilepsy did not play a role in his death, shifting focus to the other factors that contributed to this devastating outcome. Despite being only 75 feet from the entrance, and accessible from above and below, Scott could not be saved. Rescuers kept him warm, provided food and drink, and monitored his vital signs, yet they could not free him in time. His state of mind, marked by panic, irrational anger, and resistance, proved to be a major challenge for those trying to help him. Now, while they believed Scott's condition was stable and they hoped to eventually extricate him without causing any unnecessary harm, time and his deteriorating physical condition worked against them. Some observers after the fact have questioned whether sedation could have helped calm Scott and made the rescue easier. However, permission for sedation was not granted by medical authorities at the scene, leaving rescuers with limited options. Others wonder if employing painful but effective methods earlier, even at the risk of minor injury, could have led to a different outcome. Unfortunately, the rescuers faced an incredibly difficult balance between acting quickly and humanely. Another key takeaway is the importance of understanding the psychological toll of being trapped in a confined space. For experienced cavers, claustrophobia is typically not an issue. However, the extreme physical confinement Scott endured, unable to move, chest compressed, and breathing restricted, that can trigger panic and irrational behavior in anyone. It's a stark reminder that physical and mental stress can amplify one another in life-threatening situations. Looking back, even small things like the food and drink given to Scott could have made a difference. Giving solid food to someone lying down could have been dangerous, and drinks with caffeine might have made him more anxious. These lessons, though sad, can help future rescues. In the end, the rescuers gave everything they had, working tirelessly and compassionately to try and save Scott. Yet, despite their heroic efforts, the outcome was a tragic loss. This heartbreaking incident underscores the need for thorough preparation, medical expertise, and swift decision-making in rescue operations. It also highlights the importance of understanding the emotional and physical toll that such situations take on both victims and rescuers. Lechuguilla Cave is one of the most intimidating caves in the United States, and one of the most beautiful. That's why a special team of scientists went to explore the cave in 1991, but they came face to face with death when one of their members suffered a terrible accident over 1,000 feet below ground. Today, we dare to journey into the depths to explore the shocking rescue operation of Emily Mobley. Lechuguilla is a world-famous cave. It's the second deepest cave in the United States with a max depth of over 1,600 feet. That's deeper than the Empire State Building is tall. The cave is also the 8th longest in the world, stretching 150 grueling miles in the damp black abyss. Lechuguilla is located near the New Mexican city of Carlsbad, which was first founded by people immigrating to the U.S. looking to stake their name in new territory, not unlike the story of cavers on the frontier beneath us. Since then, Carlsbad has become a mining town and the tourist destination for outdoor enthusiasts looking to visit Carlsbad National Park. This national park is located in the Guadalupe Mountains, and it's home to the Carlsbad Cavern System, which is a world-class cave nearby Lechuguilla. Carlsbad Cavern is most known for its big room, which is 255 feet tall, 625 feet wide, and 4,000 feet long, making it the largest cave chamber in the U.S. and North America. Lechuguilla itself is run by the National Park Service, which is a federal agency that's tasked with preserving and managing natural historic sites, protecting the ecosystem of these sites, and ensuring safe access to the public. Lechuguilla Cave was first used as a mine for bat guano in 1914. Bat guano develops over years from bat droppings, and it was used as fertilizer back in the old days. In the early days, the cave's most infamous feature was Misery Hole, which dropped 90 feet into the darkness before opening up into a 400-feet labyrinth below ground. This part of the cave was mostly terminal, so the cave was thought to be small. That was until cavers in the 1950s heard a sound. A deep, bellowing wind started howling from beneath their feet. The cavers realized that the floor was actually a pile of boulders and rubble that had accumulated over the mouth of a different entrance. It took over 30 years before a team got permission from the U.S. National Park Service to dig in Lechuguilla. Shortly after they began excavating the ruined chamber, they broke through and found an entrance that stretched beyond the shadows. During the exploration phase of Lechuguilla, cavers found a vast array of incredible karst formations and speleothems, which are the unique geological formations found in caves including soda straws, gypsum beards and chandeliers, cave pearls, and more. These structures were formed by sulfuric acid that seeped into Lechuguilla after undergoing chemical reactions from oil deposits near the cave. Unlike caves formed from water erosion, sulfuric acid formation is brutal. It is one of the strongest acids, and it can eat through practically anything, which adds a sinister vibe to the cave. If any caver accidentally stumbled upon sulfuric acid deposits, they'd meet a gruesome end more vile than any cave death ever recorded. Even a few drops falling from the ceiling could melt through helmets and lobotomize would-be adventurers. Luckily, this death trap is highly unlikely, but stranger things have happened in the world beneath the surface. In 2012, Colorado surveyor, member of the Cave Research Foundation, and cave vlogger Derek Bristol led a team through Lechuguilla to map uncharted territory. Braving the depths, Derek and his team climbed 410 feet of unexplored rock to find a 510-foot pit dubbed Kansas Twister, a 600 feet long, 150 feet high chamber. Derek and his team also found many new rooms that they dubbed Oz after the movie The Wizard of Oz. It took the team 8 days underground in low visibility covered in dirt and mud with ever-present danger around every corner to complete this journey. Today, the cave is only accessible to scientific researchers with approval from the National Park Service, because the cave could become deadly at any moment. The same oil deposits that created the sulfuric acid in Lechuguilla are actively being mined and drilled. That means undiscovered access points could be breached, and toxic fumes from natural gas or drilling equipment could quickly fill large sections of Lechuguilla. Any unlucky caver trapped below ground would be poisoned by the fumes and die of carbon monoxide poisoning as they choke on the air itself. Scientists exploring Lechuguilla Cave have discovered rare microbes that could be used for medicine or used in treating diseases. They've also found a rock-eating bacteria known as a chemolithoautotrophic microbe that can dissolve iron and sulfur, which could have formed some of the cave's unique features. These researchers are called surveyors. Surveying is a vital part of caving, but it's also one of the most dangerous. Cave surveyors enter newly discovered or uncharted caves with cartography equipment to create accurate maps of the twisting and turning caverns that lie beneath the soil. Surveyors can be some of the first to place rope anchors, and they pioneer routes for future cavers to explore. This trailblazing nature can lead to accidents and even death. In modern times, surveyors will even use computer scanning methods to create 3D models of caves with more detail than ever before. In April 1991, one National Park Service caving team volunteered to venture into Lechuguilla to survey the cave and perform these exact scientific studies. 40-year-old Emily Mobley was a scientist from New York who traveled to New Mexico to join the 5-person team to explore Lechuguilla. Together, this group was called the Lechuguilla Cave Project, and they took part in the first major survey of the cave less than 10 years prior. Some footholds and rope anchors were set into the stone, but few had ventured into Lechuguilla since then. The team was also tasked with finding new passages in the labyrinth of Lechuguilla. Despite having traversed the cold, damp corridors before that fateful day in April, the team had to stay on their toes since caves are always capable of throwing curveballs. The mind-numbing drip of water echoed around her as she climbed down one of the newly discovered sections of the cave. The stone seemed to be closing in on all sides. Sweat started to pool on her dirt-stained forehead, beading into her eyes in rhythm with the stalactites hanging like sharpened guillotines all around her. In a flash, Emily's hand fell. The rock she had just grabbed to support her weight fully dislodged. With a terrible thunder, a massive boulder broke loose and came crashing into her left leg. Emily's vision went white as agony surged through her body, sending her into shock. Her leg was broken. The femur is one of the largest bones in the body, and the bones near the calf are also large relative to the other bones in our bodies. When these bones break, they cause some of the most intense pain human beings can ever experience. Emily's day went from an exhilarating mission doing what she loved to suddenly staring death in the face as pain encased her like a stone casket. Rescue teams were quickly dispatched. More than 200 people traveled to Lechuguilla to lend their aid in saving Emily's life. In a race against time, the other 4 members of her team got her to stable ground and tried their best to ease her pain. The team was well equipped, so food, warmth, and light were all accounted for. If this cave would be her coffin, she wouldn't be dying from exposure to the elements, not unless she got stuck on the way out. To make sure this didn't happen, the 200-person team did everything they could to widen any narrow passages of the cave. The first day of the rescue was a flurry as teams arrived in droves to set up a base camp outside the cave and plan the quickest and safest route to reach Mobley. Day 2 involved frantically cutting rock and blasting portions of the cave to ensure she could make it out alive. Each time the rescuers needed to alter the cave, they risked a breakdown, a cave-in deep below the sunlight that would spell doom for Emily and any other rescuers trapped on the other side. The teams of rescuers worked in shifts to prevent the nerves from getting to them. They worked with as much precision as they could, but they had to act fast because Emily Mobley was trapped 55 miles away from the entrance to Lechuguilla, 1,565 feet down. The final 2 days were all about transporting Mobley as carefully and as quickly as possible. By this point, the pain had started to subside as her body began trying to heal itself. Mobley's friend, Pat Sizer, stayed by her the whole time to keep her spirits up. The team sent Dr. Steve Mossberg into the cave to stay close and monitor Mobley. Once he reached her, he stabilized her leg with an inflatable splint to prevent her from accidentally moving, which would cause the pain to flare up like a volcanic eruption throughout her whole body. The team created a chain of people to bring Mobley to the surface. At one point, they had to move her overhead like she was crowd surfing in a concert in hell. The whole team was on edge emotionally and literally when they had to get her up a 185-foot-tall pitch. Thanks to the careful planning and swift execution of the team, they got her to the next section of the cave. During the final stretch, Emily stayed awake for over 30 hours, her fatigue mixed with her pain to send her near the edge of delirium like drunkenly staring into an unknown pit deep within a nightmare. But as she neared the surface, she began to realize where she was. The entrance to Lechuguilla was all too familiar. Knowing that she was close to safety, she overcame the pain. She overcame her fatigue, and she started to sing, "Are the Stars Out Tonight?" 15 minutes after midnight on the 4th day, Emily was brought out of the cave alive. The above-ground camp of 200 brave rescuers gave Emily a warm reception. 31 pizzas had been donated to the rescuers, and they saved a whole one just for her. It turns out Mobley was stronger than any boulder. While she was trapped below ground, all she wanted was a pizza and some margaritas. Fellow potholers and emergency personnel applauded her indomitable spirit for the brief time she was there before an ambulance whisked her away. Seeing her lifted spirits, her team with the Lechuguilla Cave project was undeterred. They returned to the cave just days later to wrap up their survey while Emily Mobley prepped for surgery in a nearby hospital. After she recovered, Mobley continued to be a part of the caving community throughout her working life. She dedicated her life to making sure people are safe in caves by educating people all around the country. During the Tam Long Cave incident, Mobley was closely watching the rescue operations, and in its early stages, she lent her expertise to reports and expressed how difficult the operation would be. If you want more frightening cave stories, we released a video detailing all the harrowing events of the Thailand cave rescue, so check that out next. That's the incredible story of Emily Mobley, who faced death and made it out alive from the deep, dark recesses of Lechuguilla Cave. Do you have a favorite caving rescue story? Let us know in the comments section below, and click those like and subscribe buttons to catch the next exciting video coming your way soon.